If there's one thing you need for a cheap gaming laptop, it's got to be a Ryzen processor. The reason why I say Ryzen is because its graphics power will be AMD, which is generally known for being a better gaming solution than the Intel onboard ones. Obviously, the M1 chip has changed things, but the library on a MacBook is not great, so Ryzen is pretty much the way to go. So I have a Lenovo V14 model, which I ended up picking up for next to nothing. Basically, it wasn't being used and somebody didn't want it, so I took it. And it has a Ryzen 3250 or 3250U, which has got 2 cores, 4 threads, 2.6 GHz up to 3.5 GHz with a boost. And if you really care, it's got 1 MB of cache L2 with 4 MB of cache for L3. It only has 4 GB of RAM, but it is upgradable to 8 GB, which should be essential if you're planning on getting any cheap gaming laptop, really. I'm chosen to upgrade this one because I just wanted to see how it did on 4 GB of RAM. Now, generally with AMD onboard graphics, they will nick some of the memory. So this laptop has an SSD installed, and I did manage to update it to Windows 11 as well. Onto the first game. I put on the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which was running at 27 to 40 frames per second with a resolution of 720p and everything set on high. There was even anti-aliasing set to 8, and the game ran great. Again, this isn't any sort of special edition, and I have no mods attached to it. It is a relatively old game, and it doesn't look great, but it still played great, and this game would be playable on this laptop. Onto City Skyline, so I put everything on high at a resolution of 1600 x 900, and it ran at a pathetic 9 frames per second, and even less than that. So I put everything on low with the same resolution, and it ran a bit better. Keep in mind that I had a medium-sized town, and at this point I was squeezing anywhere between 11 to 15 frames per second. Lowering the resolution to 720p, that's 1280 x 720, I got up to 18 frames per second, which is a bit more stable, but far from ideal. And, you know, it's really hard to game like that, to be honest. I know back in the day people used to do it, but, I mean, with the world where everyone wants 60 frames per second, under 20 is just unacceptable. The laptop warmed up very quickly with this game on those settings. The fans just sounded like a jet engine. On to Crysis 2, and as they say, if it can run Crysis, then it's worth keeping. Just to mention that this wasn't the remastered version, so it's the original one with no mods or anything. You know what? It wasn't too bad. Resolution was set to 1280 x 720, settings were high for everything. You know what? I managed to get 20 to 35 frames per second, and to be fair, it was played really nicely. I remember Crysis 2 back in the day being kind to PCs, considering how much stick the first Crysis got. I mean, it even troubled some PCs right now. Funny thing is, it's even gone on to punish PS4s and Xbox One because some of them still can't run Crysis 60 frames per second. Naturally, during the gameplay sessions, I had to keep the power cable in just so I could have that high performance setting. The fans went super loud like a jet engine, and the keyboard became hot, especially after playing through all the games. Suffice to say, if anyone is looking for a cheap laptop, they should not be looking to play brand new games. I didn't even bother trying any multiplayer games, as I'm pretty sure you'll run into trouble. It's cheap, it does game, just not the kind of games you want. I mean, if you have a Steam library full of old games, this laptop is perfect. It'll run all of them nicely. I have a large Steam library, and I've collected lots of old games over the years at ridiculously low prices. One game I love in particular is Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which I used to play as a kid. If only they would remaster that. I've been able to play it recently because my antivirus thinks that it's a virus for some reason. So I need to find a solution or change my antivirus. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't mind doing a few more videos on this laptop if people want it. I know I did a vote and pretty much everyone wanted to see more MacBook videos, which I will have. I'll also try and see if I can search for some MacBook Air rumors for the next gen. Apparently we're going to get different colors, so that should be interesting. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and until next time.